behind قَدَّمَتْ يَدَاهُ. So every person will see what both his hands sent forward. وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ, and as a result, the disbeliever will say on that day, in other words, يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ تُرَابًا. Really, there are no words in English that depict the power of يَا لَيْتَنِي. This is one of the problems of translation, that in modern language we are much less articulate than in ancient languages. Like in older English, you had something like woe is me, right? But in contemporary English, when you say woe is me, nobody really takes you seriously. So we can't really use that anymore, right? So in other words, in situations like this, in modern language, usually a person is speechless. Ya laytani, the closest thing in our times, is a person who is so sad and so scared and so overwhelmed that they don't have any words. When you're speechless and dumbfounded, this is ya laytani. This is the person going, oh, all they're doing is sighing. All they're doing is screaming. But there's a word for that even in Arabic. Even for that speechless occasion, there's the phrase Ya laytani, destruction has fallen unto me. Or upon me. But the person who destruction has fallen upon won't be able to say these words, except, the way Allah is describing is the emotion that is going to be of that person. Kuntu turaba, if only I had been reduced to nothing but dust. If I was nothing but dust. So before this comes, this arrogant kafir is walking around in arrogance, thinking that he has no accountability. إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا لَا يَرْجُونَ حِسَابًا. And on that day he's hoping he was nothing. He was reduced to dust. And by the way, dust in Arabic tradition is also associated with humiliation. Right? So to put dust on someone, or to kick dust in someone's face, right? These are expressions of humiliating someone. So the last thing the person wants is to be associated with dust, this kafir, because his ego doesn't want to be associated with dust. But here, when Allah Azza wa Jal, he faces Allah Azza wa Jal on that day, he is wishing he was that humiliated. He was like dust. He was reduced to nothing. Now finally, inshallah ta'ala, like I said, we're going to conclude with how the beginning of a surah correlates to the end of the surah, and we're done inshallah. And it's very brief. These are notes I've taken from Shaykh Fadil Salih al-Samirai, who's done a remarkable work on the cohesion of surahs. عَمَّا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ in the beginning. What are they asking each other about? So the kuffar were adamant and arrogant and, in disregard of the reality of the hereafter. So they're casually talking to each other. And at the end, what's their state? لَا يَتَكَلَّمُونَ لَا يَمْلِكُونَ مِنْهُ خِطَابًا. They have no ability to speak whatsoever when the time will come. So right now, let them run their mouth. A time will come when their mouths will be silent. So there's correlation from beginning to end. Then Allah says, الَّذِي هُمْ فِيهِ مُخْتَلِفُونَ. They have disagreement. Vehement disagreement. I think nothing's going to happen in the hereafter. I think we're going to be raised, but we're all going to go to heaven, or we'll all be some souls or spirits. Everybody's got their false ideas. But on that day, there's only one opinion that will come forward, the right one. وَقَالَ صَوَابًا. He will speak the right thing. If anybody speaks, they'll be saying the right thing, as opposed to the state now. And finally, Allah warned them, ثُمَّ كَلَّا سَيَعْلَمُونَ. No, they will soon find out. They will soon very well know the consequences of their speech. And at the end, once they know the consequences of their speech, what will they be saying instead? Ya laytani kuntu turaba. That's the consequence of it. If they knew, they would be saying that already. If they only realized the burden of those words. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.